It's like as much as you can creating some kind of cookie cutter systems and processes based on expertise and previous experience. That's always flexible. Nothing is inflexible, of course, but it's yeah. I guess that helps with the scale, and that's something I wanted perhaps to move on to. Clearly, we touched on very briefly the previous health tech build that built substantial revenue and number of startups. So, what's the ambition for Big Circle over the next few years?
Yeah, so over the coming like 3.5 years, we want to build 30 startups. And in the meantime, we are developing our organization as well, so that will go to over 20 people. And the money we now raise is basically a first round to do that. So we will raise in total about 25 million over that period of time. On the one hand, to finance the venture builder team that is building all these startups. And on the other hand, to grow the fund we have so it can keep on providing the initial financing to the startups.
Yes, because one of the things there around obviously the funding that you get with the LP clearly is invested in your model, and you have that previous experience, but you're really looking at patient capital and patients yourself. Clearly, ambition to move quickly and to build scale, but at the same time, when you are picking things up at a very early TRL, and you are picking up things that are creating things that don't yet exist in deep tech and in hard tech, that in itself all requires an element of skill, of course, but also patience.
True. And it's one of the first things that I tell to potential investors, but also the people who are interested to work with us or in the startups. This is not like a quick SaaS solution that you build up and you can start using in the market after a few years, or even, or if possible, sometimes after a few months. This is a patient game. That's true for the capital. That's true for the people involved in that. But it is essential that we develop this technology and that we don't let good inventions go to waste there. And there are many people who see that. I've seen also a market shift over the past 12 to 18 months in people basically saying like okay, we're not going to SaaS ourselves out of this problem. We need these software solutions, but we also need some of the hardware solutions there, the combination of those, and we also need solutions that take more time to develop. And this is not just about kind of the pure kind of hardware, the devices. We believe that a lot of the inventions that we need come from new materials, the way we produce them, the way we recycle them. That's going to underpin a lot of the energy and material transition that's needed. And again, to develop them into new applications, new products, it's going to take time. But I see a lot of people who are aware of that now, and I see more and more in the different news channels as well. More VC funds coming up and say we are particularly focused on the kind of non-pure software solutions. Deep tech, that's going to take a while. And yes, so it can take 10 years before it's a success. But that's what it takes.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think you're right. I think we've seen the sort of the turn that people are accepting that absolutely SaaS and digitalization are fundamentally critical to the advances, but they themselves need to work on and with something. There needs to be some hardware, I guess, but not just hardware again, because like you say, it's about innovation in a multitude of ways that. Going back to the risk factor, the risk of finding those things at the early stage to bring through is greater, and therefore you need the scale. But if you do get it right, then clearly stuff like, for example, fusion, things that if you get those really outliers correct, then you make a serious game-changing leap in the battle against climate change, for example. So it's all that kind of intertwined. Is it about risk, about scale, about patience that a venture builder brings that perhaps it's very difficult to do in a more of a traditional VC environment?
Yes, true again, because it just takes more people and kind of hours of work that you put in, and this is also one of the reasons why you see that VCs find it often difficult to function in this basically in the earlier stages where there is no team, that's one thing that makes it difficult. But the risk levels and also the small tickets that are put in, that makes it difficult in their model. The VCs work from a management fee, which means they have a certain amount of time available to invest. And often, particularly when the funds get larger, then it becomes attractive to put in larger tickets and look for the larger ticket investments. While often in these earlier stages, there are smaller tickets needed, and you need to find all these inventions. The venture builder model works in a different way, basically. The investment that people do in the venture builder is translated in hours of work, is then translated in a number of startups. And that means that it's not just like a large amount of cash that's put in at the start. It's a number of hours and work. And via that method, we can set up these startups and can develop them further because we just have more hours available.